What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Mystic Watch, and today we got a PvP tier list for July on global. So it's gonna be, or ignore that. This is gonna be global tier list, and I'm just using this JP tier thing since it already has the units on it, and I went through and picked out all the global units. But we're gonna be using this to make a PvP tier list. This is not an overall tier list. This is not a PvE tier list. This is specifically for PvP. This is what at least I care more about. I don't even think PvE tier lists are like important for any reason. Like to me, they just like they're almost irrelevant. So PvP tier list on what are the best units individually, as well as there are some units that do well in pairs. So I'll briefly mention that. But units that need or require synergy or heavy synergy to work are going to be weighted less on my tier list, and I'm going to be a little bit more strict within the tiers. I'm not going to put as many people in each tier, and I'm going to try to limit it so that it's more obvious where the kind of dividing lines are. But that being said, even though I have all the units organized here by their elements or whatever, I'm not going to be dropping all them on. I'm going to be going like S, A, B, C, and then maybe D or E, just a couple honorable mentions. But if I don't put a unit on this tier list, they're not even worth talking about. And most of this is going to be based off of, I hit Challenger every single week. I'm Champion 1 every single week. And the teams that I play against, the teams that perform the most strongest, I don't know proper words, and the teams that see most frequency and how powerful they are, pretty much determine where units are going to be placed. I also compared with a couple other people on their tier list to kind of get an idea of how everyone feels on certain units, and while majority of the stuff will agree, there are some spots where I disagree. Besides that, I was thinking of, this is a completely separate tangent, but ties back in. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. Pokemon, if you guys that play competitive, has different tiers or brackets for units. OU, Ubers, UU, RU, whatever you want to call it, right? OU, like just to give you some examples if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. OU refers to overused, underused, rarely used, so on, right? And those are the distinctions or brackets that they make, and they put certain Pokemon in. And then when you have tournaments, you have a pool that you can play from, right? So I want to do something similar with this and start a tournament series and give out, something small at first. I'll have like 16-man tournaments, give out, like a $25 gift card, Apple or Google Play. But to do that, I got to come up with my own tiering system, and I want to get a lot of people's inputs on it. That way it's the most fair. But that's just something to keep in mind. So back to here, let's start off the tier list with the S tier. And S tier is going to, normally I would include a lot of people in here, right? Because there's a lot of people that are absolutely busted. But for PvP, I want to kind of limit it to the units that are being used the absolute most right now. So, you where is you? And I think I will leave it here. So this is where I was talking about when it came to synergies. I do not want to include, for example, Red Arthur here, because Red Arthur outside of Mono Red sees absolutely zero play. And although he is a key unit on the strongest team, Escanor as a single unit is significantly better than Arthur. That is my reasoning behind putting them here. And this does not mean that, for example, Arthur is bad. It just means that Escanor is better than Arthur. These two are never going to not be in the S tier as long as the game exists for the most part. Gowther might eventually drop down to A, just if we base it off of Japanese meta. But King isn't going anywhere. Now, double Escanor. Escanor is an absolutely amazing unit that can be put on almost any single team that you want, right? There's almost no downside to him. You just throw him on and he smacks people, both red and green Escanor. Red has the benefit of being a coin shop unit, so you can get him easily to 6/6. Whereas green, although it is harder to get him to 6-6, he did show up on a lot of banners. So there's a good chance that some of you might have multiple copies of him. Regardless, he has one of the highest CCs in the game. Going first in this game is super important. So having a unit with, 45 to 50k CC on geared or ungeared, having almost like 30k CC is really beneficial, right? It helps you hit those insanely high like ungeared numbers of like post, like above like 115k CC, or in geared, you can push for 200k if you have Escanor with UR gear, even if you have attack set Escanor and not even HP defense. Where Escanor does have the flexibility of running both sets, it's really nice. Gother, rank up, and attack seal, still one of the best things you can ever have. Ultimate is amazing, hits hard, coin shop unit. King, never get old of cleanse, petrify, and one-shot nuke on his ult. So those people aren't going anywhere, and I think the difference between S and A is not that much. So we're going to just stick a couple more people here, and I don't want to spend, like, normally I would take like a lot of time on each individual unit, but I think I'm just going to do them in brackets or like this, and kind of just toss people around. And I might move like until the end of the video. It's not set in stone where I'm putting everyone. This is kind of just me tossing like my first thoughts here, and then I might shift them around. Let's see. Let's get some red units up there. Am I missing anyone? Arthur's kind of weird. I want Arthur in A, but I feel like he's always... we'll put him at the end of A, and I might move him down for now. Anyone else here? No, I think that's fine. Okay. A tier, bigger than S tier. Because like I said, I want to make S tier a little bit more exclusive for the units that really do stand out. Now, when you're coming down here, so there are a couple of units that kind of like are on the brink of S tier, and I'll shift them to the front, right? Like I'll try to order these to the best of my ability. I think I like it like this. All right, I'll try to order these. These are not really ordered. Like, I'd say currently, like during this month, it would be ordered like this. Red Escanor sees a lot of play, not just because he is super strong, but newer units tend to have more play time in, the month that they come out. So just because he's being played more, I don't want to make it seem like he's automatically better than Green Escanor. They're both pretty interchangeable on the teams that they're able to be used. Mono Red is the only team that Red Escanor has like exclusivity to, but Green Escanor sees a bigger variety, I'd say, of teams that he can be on with his typing, plus just hits hard. Like Elegant Blow is such a good move. Now, talking about A tier again, I tried to order these. These are kind of like first draft ordering from left to right. Lilia is amazing unit, right? Support plus one of the best support units in the game. You got the heal plus the ultimate gauge reduction. Now, a lot of people tend to build her incorrectly, I'd say. And she's one of the few units that doesn't purely go like HP defense with all standard rolls. You go pierce rate rolls on her, but if you go full pierce rate on her, a majority of the time she'll get patienceed out. And what that means is she won't do enough damage to break through their defense and will actually just waste her move. So you try to give her an attack roll or two just so she can actually remove an ultimate gauge. But besides that, without her, pen team doesn't exist. Like, you cannot, in today's day and age, running Demon Meliodas pen team with Hauser or something like that is not viable unless you have Lilia. And even if you have Lilia, it's still not that easy, right? Like, if you go a pen team against any Valenti team whatsoever, it's probably like 30-70 in the favor of Valenti, right? You can still win. assuming everything else is like equal, right? You're around the same CC, same level, same costumes. The matchup is significantly favorable for Valenti. But Lilia does not need to rely on Demon Meliodas to run Pen, but it is that way vice versa. You need Demon Meliodas has to be paired with Lilia in order to function properly, but you can run other combinations. Like you can run, for example, Valenti, Lilia, Escanor, which is a super popular team at the moment. And either variant of Escanor is fine, right? You can run both of those. You have good defense through Valenti, good pen through Lilia, sustain with Lilia heals, and then Escanor is your main damage dealer. So Lilia, because she's not reliant on anyone else, has a higher spot than Demon Meliodas. Same thing with Arthur. Arthur's team, like I said, I did not put him in S tier because even though Mono Red is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest teams out currently, Arthur is just like a byproduct of Escanor being super strong, right? Like Arthur is amazing unit, but let's say Escanor drops off the face of the earth, right? We delete Escanor. Mono Red, all of a sudden, let's say we say tier 1 is the highest tier, right? Mono Red goes from like a tier 1 team to a tier 2 team because Escanor no longer exists. That is why Arthur does not carry that team. Even though he's vital to the, winning through his buffs, he does not carry that team. Whereas like Gother is pretty important and probably has a lot more impact. But I'm not trying to say Arthur's bad, right? Arthur's not down here. Arthur is here in 8th tier, right below the top of the top. So don't get that mixed up. Next, Merlin. Merlin is the same thing. Merlin herself doesn't get used in the front line too much. She's almost always in the back line for her passive. That being said, she is a good unit, right? She has her barrier and she has her ultimate gauge reduction, which is more of a support style unit on an ultimate rush team. Even though like that is the case, ultimate rush is still very strong. If I had to say Mono Red is tier 1, like ultimate rush is tier 1.5 at the moment, right? Like Blue DN King ultimate rush is still super strong, but it's not Mono Red. So Merlin takes a little bit of a hit, goes down a bit, and with Red King being one of the more favored back units, or like 4th slot anchor units, whatever you want to call it, Merlin starts to see a little bit less play. Blue Meliodas we already talked about. Good on pen teams. Outside of that, relies on Lilia. Even though you rely on Lilia, it's still an amazing unit, but not S tier. Valenti, counter to pen, but when you're not versing pen, like you get ran over by Mono Red. So she has to take a drop down from S. Hellbrum, part of that nice, sweet Kingbrum team. Amazing unit, as usual. Not much to say about here. Annoying. That's it, right? He's just really good. King. Red King is the new support unit or anchor unit, like I mentioned, being able to cut pierce rate in half and then further cut any additional pierce rate in half again. He's really good, but his move set is garbage, right? He himself does not do anything. As soon as he comes out, like your chances of winning drop dramatically, but the amount of damage mitigation he does just by existing in the back is too strong. And then Hauser can be interchangeable between B and A tier. Part of Mono Red, sometimes not. He kind of took a downfall. I'm actually going to move him down to B tier. He's a good substitute. He can fit on pen team and he can fit on Mono Red. If you build him attack, defense with UR gear, he actually competes pretty well. But his best team is pen, I'd say. Mono Red, the problem with Mono Red is if you put him on Mono Red, you're not running Escanor, right? And Escanor is just the superior choice. And if you run him in the back, then all of a sudden you're not running someone like Red King or Twigo. So it's like those are just better options. So I'm going to put him down in B tier because he is useful. If you don't have him, Hauser becomes the next best unit in that slot. But I don't think he's, considered one of like the must-haves. So let's start filling in the rest of B tier and see how we want to proceed. Okay. You... I like you. think I'm just gonna start putting units that I see early. I just want to move some units up so I'm not like... These units on the bottom aren't set in stone. I'm just moving people around at the moment. Who am I missing? Who am I missing? I could have sworn I had someone else up here. Where is Green Skinny King? Am I just blind? Do I already have him up here? I do. Okay. And I think I like it like this. No. Okay. Okay. We'll go from here. Let me just put a couple more units on there. I do need... I gotta start putting some SRs in here as well. Okay, who are the key SRs? We got the homie Gilboy. And we got the Griamore and we got the Twigo, right? Like I feel like those are your key SRs. Twigo, and ours. Okay. So actually... Okay, let's talk about B tier for a little bit and then move on going down. Okay, B tier. Ultimate Rush. That's really it. Nothing else to say. Amazing Ultimate Rush unit. Free to play. Hits hard even at 1/6. Competes against Mono Red. If you can get a couple of dupes into her, it's really nice. That being said, also has amazing CC. You can give her HP defense UR gear and she'll still hit hard, because of her passive, which scales with damage by 5% for 6 turns in a row. Or is it 6% for 5 turns in a row? All I know is maxes out at 30%. Green King took a little bit of a hit down. Green King is one of more like a sleeper unit where people didn't really build him as much, but always performs well. The problem is Mono Red is super strong right now, so he has to take a little bit of a step back. His crits are insane. You put him on sort of like a wall style or defense style team. I remember a unit that I forgot. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, that's enough. Sorry. I was just moving things around. Okay. So, amazing crits. Once he scales up with his ultimate gauge, his hard hitting moves hit like a truck, right? He's got the spike and ruin, which do a good amount of damage, but they always crit, right? Once you get the five stacks, you are critting 99% of the time. There's maybe a handful of units that you don't crit on. Diane didn't get to see as much play because of when she dropped, but really good stall unit, fits very well with this same Green King, and is just a good wall. Same issue as before, Mono Red is super strong, so not as good. Then we got the three non-SSR like best support units at the moment, right? Red Griamore, Green Gill Thunder, and Twigod. All three see play. All three are pretty interchangeable, except Green Gill Thunder probably takes the back seat most of the time, being kind of superseded by Red King. If Red King didn't exist, you would see this guy a little bit more often, but he does. I'd say Griamore probably sees a decent, like, I don't know. Twigo seeing more play because of Mono Red. Griamore sees more play on Pen Team, but Pen Team isn't as frequent. I think that is a nice spot to put them for now. Let's keep scrolling down and see. Okay. This is where things start to become like more and more subjective, right? I mean, the entire thing is subjective, but going further down is where the tier list gets harder to make, just because they're not used that much, these units, and that ends up causing them to just see less. You know, when you see them less, it's hard to gauge them on how good they actually are. But we'll put it like this, right? And there's like a good amount of these units, but almost none of them see any play whatsoever. Like, I'll just toss you there because you also see some play in Mono Red. Like, I don't know. I see some units occasionally, once in a while, randomly in a blue moon, they'll just appear on PvP, but I don't think it really is that viable once you get beyond this point. Let's talk about C tier, right? Galland is actually pretty fun, and you can use them in PvP and get away with it, but just he isn't that amazing. No, it's not much to talk about him. He didn't get popular that much. You can put him on a team and he'll work fine. It's just okay, right? Bond is always on and off. He really needs a strong snatch to do damage, and without that, he just doesn't hit. Like, there are so many AoE units that just hit harder with him without the same amount of setup, but he is a strong green AoE unit where we just don't have that many. So when green starts to become popular again, Bond usually moves up and sees more play. When UR gear, I don't believe Bond's UR gear is out right now, or if I am, I just completely missed it. But when Bond does get UR gear, he hits hard, right? You give him a tank defense set and he just hurts. So let's say I could just I just don't remember if he has UR gear right now, but if he has UR gear, he's probably B tier, right? He's somewhere in the middle of B tier. Lilia, also a really good backline unit, or a really good on a wall team where you just have a bunch of tanky people like Lilia, Valenti, Merlin. But once again, all the people that I just named, super tanky, but also just green. And mono red says, boop. Blue Ellie Hawk, really good unit. Could probably be in B tier as well, to be honest. Sees a decent amount of play, but is also one of those off meta units that the main community hasn't picked up that much yet, and you just see a handful of people who like her, use her a lot. So that's about it. Green Death Pierce, used on some crit teams as a backline unit. I'm gonna put him towards the end since he's not that good. He could even be down here, to be honest. Red Guild Thunder, good substitute on some mono red teams. Also just a really tanky person. Doesn't hit that hard, but really good for stall. You can also use him on an ultimate rush, to be honest, and does fine. Red Molascula is super fun. Hits a decent amount hard. Her commandment is fun, like just giving a bunch of ignite stacks to anyone who doesn't use their skills. And a lot of things with the commandments are people just don't know. Like, besides Galland was the first one to come out. Besides that, people just don't know what these commandments do half the time, and you can form your team around that, right? And Zeldris, when he comes out, is a perfect example of something along those lines. Now, going down here, I think this is where I'm going to leave it. Besides this, you don't see much more, and I'm sure there's going to be like one or two straggling units that I might have forgot. Like I said, the main units are kind of like S to B, and then maybe C. These guys all just see various amounts of play. You can use them, and you might not get crushed completely, or you'll win into very specific matchups, but you'll have a losing matchup spread, right? Like, these are units that are viable, but do not contribute much in the overall grand scheme of things. That's about it. Each unit can do well on a team with other units from up here and be fine. But units, like, if you pick multiple units on here and try to make a team, it's not going to end well. That's about it. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight on how I view PvP. Let me know what you agree, disagree with. If you think people should move up, down, like, what are your personal thoughts? Like I said, this is based off of Challenger and Champion 1 mostly. But if you go a little bit lower, maybe the meta is different and I'm just unaware of it. So let me know what you guys think. That'll be it for now. Hopefully you enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.